Today we're going to talk about the basics of Flowgorithm. Flowgorithm is the program that we're going to use to take your pseudocode and test it. So you're going to take your pseudocode, go to Flowgorithm and type it in like in their flowchart program, and you're going to run it to see if your logic is correct. So the first thing you have to do is download Flowgorithm, which is you go to flowgorithm.org. And you see here in Blackboard in the Getting Started section, I have directions on how to do that. I also have directions on how to determine what your grading process will be. Make sure you download the latest version of Flowgorithm. It doesn't have to match the video because I'm not going to redo that every semester. But once you download it, you click on the installer and just follow the wizard. It's pretty simple. When the install is complete, you'll have Flowgorithm either on your start menu, on your desktop. I went to my start menu and pinned it down here to my taskbar, and that's the icon down here at the bottom, what it looks like. So you open Flowgorithm, it's going to bring up the Flowgorithm window. And you can point to these icons, it'll tell you what the command is. But basically, in order to do Flowgorithm, you just click on this line right here, and you get to choose what kind of statement. In pseudocode, if it's a display, I mean, it's going to display something to the screen, you would do output. So I'm going to click on output, and then you double click the output shape, and I'm going to put in quotes, enter first name, semicolon. I want a space, so I'm going to put a space inside the quotes. So at this point, when it hits this statement, what's going to pop up on your screen is enter first name space. So then I'm going to say OK. To grab that input from the screen, I have to do an input statement. So I'm going to click on the line below because I want it to go below and say input. And then double click on that, and I want it to go in the first name variable. Now notice how I spell first name. I'm following the standards for programming, which is camel casing. The first letter of the first word is lowercase, and the first letter of all subsequent words is uppercase with no spaces. So that's why F is lowercase and N is uppercase. So what's going to happen here, once the user sees the enter first name space, you're going to see the insertion point, and it's going to be blinking. And it's going to keep blinking until the user enters in the first name and then hits the enter key. Then it's going to take that and transfer it back into this program. I'm not telling it where to store that. So I've got to go up here and create a variable. So I'm going before this because the variable has to be created before it's used. And I'm going to go to the declare statement. And of course I double click, pretty straightforward. And it's first name, they have to match exactly, and it's a string. A string is characters and numbers combined. But look at the types you can choose from. In Flowgorithm, an integer is for whole numbers, a real is for numbers with decimal, a string is for everything else, and a boolean is to store either true or false. So at this point, I've got the variable declared, so it creates a spot in memory named it first name. When the user enters the first name in, it automatically goes to that spot in memory. As a programmer, we don't know what they're going to enter in. They may enter in X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter because it's going to store it in that memory location. So since there's no other processing, I'm just going to output this. So I'm going to come up here. Remember I told you to output something, you do an output statement. And I'm going to type the expression that I want to output. So I'm going to hit space, and the first name is space. All right, then I want to concatenate it with the variable, and then I put the variable. And that's all I put. So what that does, it says output the first name is space, and then right after that, concatenate it, which means tie it together, the variable. So watch what happens when I run this. I'm going to run it by hitting the green arrow. See, it says enter first name. It's going to stay there until I type in something, and it's going to do the enter key. I'm just going to type in X's. Hit enter, and now it displays out exactly what they typed in. So this program is working because notice I have a space. The output looks readable. Notice there's no periods. I could put a period at the end. I don't care how you do that, but whatever you do, stay consistent. Don't put the first name is XXX, then period, and then if you're outputting the last name, don't put the period. Make it consistent. So I'm going to modify this. I'm going to get them to enter in the last name. Now I can choose to do these statements again, or I can copy paste. I'm going to come right here and I'm going to do Control-C to copy, but unfortunately, it won't let me do Control-V to paste. So I'm just going to go right here and I'm just going to highlight that and do last. I found that to be quicker for me. You may decide it's quicker just to, do it by hand. Then I'm going to draw a box around the output statement and the input statement. I'm going to do Control-C to copy. And then I'm going to right-click, or I can just left-click and say paste. And then I'm going to double-click these and change first to last. Okay. And then I got to change that to last also. And I'm going to modify my last output statement. All right, so I'm going to say, I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm just going to say name, colon. Whatever how you want to do it, just be consistent. Notice I have the space. I'm going to do another concatenation. All right, watch what happens if I do last name. See, I didn't put a space, so watch what it's going to look like. So I'm going to run it. I'm going to type in John, hit enter, Smith. Notice how John Smith is butted together. That is wrong. I will count off 5 points. You say, well, how do I fix that? Well, you go back to see the output statement that's displayed, and you got to concatenate that with a space. So I'm double-clicking that. So after first name, I want to do quote, space, quote. That's a space. Then I got to do another concatenation to tie the last name. All right, so now I'm going to test it because you know what? We did what we think, but we're going to let the computer tell us if it's correct. And it's correct. All right, so that's just the very basics. But I'm going to do some kind of calculation. I'm going to do another variable to show you how an assignment statement works. I'm going to call it yearly salary. I wasn't following camel casing. Yearly salary. All right. Yearly salary has decimal positions, so it's got to be a real. If I do an integer and the yearly salary had, 0.99 cents, it would truncate to 99 cents. All right, so I'm going to do yearly salary. Now I got to get it from the user, right? I've got to let the user type it in. I believe I might be able to do another paste since I copied the 2 statements before. So I'm just going to say enter yearly salary. Notice I have spaces here. This is what's going to display out in text. This is not what they're going to enter in. So don't say enter yearly salary the same way the variable looks. You make this look more like English, more professional. So now the yearly salary, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to type in yearly salary. This is the variable, so it's got to be the same, spelled the exact same way. All right, so watch what this is doing. This first name matches the first name there. Last name matches the last name variable. Yearly salary, they're spelled exactly alike. If they're not, when you run it, it's going to give you an error. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I go down here and put in yearly salary X and then run it, it'll let me type in the first name. It'll let me type in the last name, but it's going to give you an error. It says, hey, you got to declare the variable. That's all it's saying. And so you say, well, how do I know? I thought I declared it. You look at the name that you have here and compare it to what you have at the top of your program inside the variable declarations. All right, so I'll go back up here to the declare statements, which are these, and notice I don't have an X on the end. And it highlights the one, makes it red. So it's they do a pretty good job of pointing you in the right direction. All right, so I'm going to take this yearly salary and I'm going to give it a raise. I want to see what, I'm going to get a percent raise. Now, if I wanted to just to see what the raise was going to be, then I'd create a variable called raise. But if I just wanted to give a 3% raise, all right, then I can use the same variable because I want that variable, the one that's going to get the raise. So I'm going to come to here, and they call it an assignment statement. So I'm going to click right down here before the output, and I'm going to do an assign. An assignment statement, it takes what's to the right of the equal sign and stores it into the variable on the left. It's where you do some kind of calculations. So I want to do the yearly salary, and I want to give a 3% raise. So you have to type in the variable that you want to raise. I want to raise yearly salaries. I'm going to do yearly salary again. If I could type, and I'm going to multiply it, which is an asterisk. In order to add it back to itself, like I could say yearly salary equals yearly salary plus yearly salary times 0.03 or 0.03, because Flowgorithm pays you put 0.03. But I'm just going to multiply times 1.03. And that's a little shortcut that adds it back to itself. And watch what I'm talking about. So I'm going to run this. I'm going to do XXX, YYY. I make $100. Say I'm doing it even so I don't have to get my calculator out. $100, I know it should be a $3 raise. Okay? And notice what it outputted. I missed a step to output the yearly salary. So this is the process you're going. You're taking your logic. You read what they're asking for. You type in what you think. You run it. If it doesn't work, you fix it, run it again. Doesn't work, fix it, run it again. Doesn't work, fix it, run it again. You keep running it again till it is correct before you turn it into me. If you can't figure it out, look in the book. You can't find it in the book, Google. Okay, try to find how to do it on Google. If you still can't find it, then you call me or email me, and I will show you how to do it. Don't wait before you turn it in. I'm already grading it at that point. And when I say I'll show you how to do it, I will point you in the right direction. I'm not going to say, oh, this will fix it. I'm going to say, hey, research this or check this or think about this, because I don't want to tell you how to do it because it won't sink in, you won't learn it. So I know I got to go back and put the yearly salary. All right, so I'm going to go back down here to the output statement. And now I can choose to do another output statement and put the name on one line and yearly salary on the other, which is what I'm going to do. Or I could figure out what the command is to do a new line, which means go down to the next line and output it. But I want to show you just how to put on separate lines. And instead of copying this, because I have to delete more than I type, I'm just going to create a new one. So that's an output. Double click it. And since I did the other one, names colon space, I want to make sure I do this one. Yearly salary space colon. And you know what? Maybe I want to say new yearly salary because I'm getting a raise. New yearly salary. All right, so I forgot the colon. I'm going to put the colon in there. Then I got to concatenate it. Remember again, Flowgorithm concatenation character is a comma. In pseudocode, it's a comma. Flowgorithm, it's a ampersand sign. All right, so now I got to put the variable name. All right, so let me explain what's happening when I run this. That hits the output statement. That's the first output statement. When I type this in, that's taking that Tony, which I just typed it back in, moved it right into the first name variable. Now it says enter last name. It's going to stay there until I hit the enter key. And it's putting that in memory location, the variable name. And I'm going to say, you know what? I make $1,000 instead of $100 because I know it should come back $130. So I'm going to type that in. And there it is, $130. Now, there's different ways so you can put dollar signs and format it and all this stuff. The way the book does, it would have me put I'll show you, heck, instead of telling you that. It'll have me come back here. And right here after the space, I could put a dollar sign. And that would put the dollar sign in front of it. And again, I'm always testing it. Make a little change. I'm not going to assume I did it correctly. I'm going to test. Notice there's no commas. All right. In programming language, they will have methods that will allow you to put commas and decimals and all that to change the formatting. That's above this class. If you go on to take the Java programming class, then you'll learn how to do all that. I hope this video helped. Thank you.